Today's athlete is the first ever representative from Lebanon. We are talking about the Northside Giant, Fadi El Masri. Fadi El Masri, we met Fadi in Australia earlier this year. What a lovely guy he is. New up-and-coming athlete. Great to see these new guys getting an opportunity at the big contest. He's very, very raw. He's only done a few competitions, or certainly a few international competitions. The most notable one where we saw him earlier this year was Australia's Strongest International, and he performed very well there.
Yeah, he ended up on the podium with Mitch and Rauno. Not bad people to share a podium with, but beating all of the other local guys who competed in that show. And I think with Fadi, like, what you get is a lot of potential more than anything else.
So I've started coaching Fadi, so I know a little bit more about Fadi than maybe some of the other athletes. But what information have you found out, Auntie Liz, about Fadi?
Okay, it's not been that easy, but last year Fadi competed in the Middle East Strongest Man. Now this is a competition with 18 competitors, so really big lineup. It was 5 events and he was consistently very good, but he dropped a lot of points on one event, the log lift. But he did win one event as well, the arm over arm, and he ended up placing 6th overall. And then, of course, most recently, he did Australia's Strongest International, where he placed 3rd, as we mentioned. So a very, very raw and new athlete, like you've said. Yeah,
some of those competitions he's done, you know, he's competing against some decent athletes as well. Obviously got the experience against Rauno and Mitch Hooper, but he's competed with some really, really strong Iranians in the Middle East that we don't get the opportunity to see. They do have some fantastic athletes, to be fair.
They do.
He beat Rongo at the Middle East Strongest Man as well.
He did, yeah.
He beat Coco at Australia's Strongest International, so he's beaten guys that have been to World's Strongest Man before. So that confidence will help him, that he's got some experience. It's going to be a big eye-opener though. He's already, you know, very, very raw in terms of his career, in terms of competition and experience, but also in terms of technique as well. One thing I find with Fadi is he's just a big, strong dude.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to a bit more time working with him. We've only had like 5 weeks to prepare for World's Strongest Man. So for me, the exciting thing will come after Worlds. Right now, we're just trying to get him as ready as possible. And the crazy thing with Fadi, like things like the log lift, he can only sort of viper and strict press a log. He can't engage any leg power yet. And it's quite interesting for me as a coach, when you work with someone like that, you think, when we tap into that strength, there's going to be some serious potential. Now, looking at the events, I think Fadi needs to go to World's Strongest Man, focus on the heats and give 100% on every event and kind of just learn from it. Go and enjoy it. Give everything you can. Talk to the other athletes, appreciate the opportunity, and just kind of absorb all the information that you're going to get, because this guy is going to come back regardless of what happens this year, and he's going to be a threat in the future.
Yeah.
He's a massive man. He's in the size of a huge frame, big, strong dude.
I'm really interested to see how he does on the event. So I did write some notes about, you know, how might he do, but obviously we haven't seen him do a lot of them. But like loading race, never seen him do a loading race, but we know he can move really quickly. He's very good at things like farmers.
I actually think loading could be decent for him.
I think so too.
Like I said, he's just a big human. Like, without trying to be offensive, he's just got big farmer boy strength.
I was going to say it's that natural sort of strength that people accumulate over time. It's not necessarily gym strength.
It's not so much gym strength. That's going to take more time, the gym strength, but he's got the natural ability to handle awkward objects.
Yes.
And a loading event, I think, starts off World's Strongest Man perfectly for him. It's an event that some of these new guys can kind of beat some of these really big, strong guys on.
And anyone can make a mistake on as well.
Absolutely. If he's kind of stays focused. The advice that I give him, you know, as his coach and as someone that's been there before, and you know, my first World's Strongest Man had Mariusz Pudzianowski here, and Harold Haugen, who were 2 of the best guys at the time, and I just turned my back. I was kind of in the far lane, turned my back, focused on my lane, and although they beat me, it ended up being a photo finish. Whereas if I was kind of paying attention to what they would have done, like in my head, you know, there's no way I'm beating Mariusz Pudzianowski on a loading event. The guy was rapid.
You don't need that distraction, do you?
What he needs to do is focus on his lane, and if he does that, who knows what can happen. You can surprise a lot of people, and he's got the ability to move well.
Then with the deadlift machine, presumably this is going to be a totally new piece of kit for Fadi.
Yeah, this is an event, we've got a lot of good deadlifters at World's Strongest Man. Fadi has pulled 400 kilos. Not the best 400 kilo pull in the world, but, he's pulled it.
Went up.
The thing with these days is most guys at World's Strongest Man have pulled 400 kilos. So, again, you might have heard me talking about it with the Mitch Hooper video. It's about doing the reps quickly with this barrel. It's understanding how the barrel works, the barrel machine, works. It's understanding as soon as that referee gives you the lift command, you go on the L of lift.
Yeah,
and you try and pull as fast as you can, and you make sure you wait for the down signal. And I've made that mistake before where I didn't wait for the down signal.
Rep, haven't you?
Yeah, but he's not going to beat the big deadlifters, but he could pick up points on this one as well. And I think the first two events should kind of settle the nerves nicely for him.
Now, we talked about at Middle East Strongest Man, log lift was not a good event, and you've talked about how he can only really viper or strict. Now, a log ladder will start off at a fairly comfortable weight for strong men. So
he actually did pretty well at the log at Australia's Strongest International. He certainly made progress on it. It's an event that needs work, a lot of technical work needed more than anything. But the fact that he can viper press and kind of manhandle weights, he's got the ability to get through a few of them fast. Then it depends on who's in the group and who can do the heavier logs. I can't see him getting the last log. Even fresh, that would be a big challenge.
It would be a competition PB, so to do it in that scenario,
I think really ideally 3 fast with the potentially of maybe getting the 4th would be the tactic that I'd be going for. Then it comes down to who's in your group. I think there's going to be other guys that are going to be stronger on the log.
Yeah. And again, for the Conan Circle, we don't have any data for Fadi, but we did watch him do the Quest Stone for max distance at Australia's Strongest International, and he was 3rd behind Mitch and Rauno. But both, we should point out, are incredible for carrying weights distance.
And again, this is where that natural strength of his comes in, really well. Beaten by 2 very accomplished athletes there. And again, I think it's an event he can pick up some points on. I don't expect him to win it, but hopefully he can be somewhere in the middle, pick up more points, more experience, and keep trying to fight to get into that stone off.
And kettlebell throw, we have no data at all. Now, it's very technical throwing.
It is technical, but it's a big man event as well. And he is a big man. He's got that height advantage. So if we can kind of master the movement, whether we've got enough time for that, we're still kind of working it. But he's looked okay in training.
Good.
And he's got height. Height is a huge advantage when it comes to throwing. So a lot of good natural strength events in there. The Conan Circle, the loading, the throwing. These are events that he could actually score some decent points on.
So then, if he makes it into a stone off, Lozzie, what do you think, what do you envision? I mean,
firstly, if he makes it into a stone off, it's going to be a hell of a debut for this guy at World's Strongest Man. There's a lot of incredible. This is a real step up in terms of not just standard, but the whole of the standard of the whole competition.
Yeah,
it's one thing going against 1 or 2 really good guys. It's something else when you're going against 20 of the best guys in the world, or 30 in this case of the best guys in the world. So there's going to be a lot of. But he'll have the pressure on himself, but really there's no huge expectation. He's a newbie to World's Strongest Man. He's fairly new to strongman in general. And, he can go into this with a relaxed philosophy. He doesn't need to put that pressure on himself. Go in there, focus on one event at a time and do the best that he can. As much as I would love to see Fadi make the final, I don't think that's going to happen this year. There's a lot of incredible athletes.
The groups are going to be stacked.
Yeah, for me, Fadi needs to kind of take it one event at a time, give 100%, and just really, really enjoy the experience. If he can get himself into a stone off, who knows what can happen.
Anything can happen.
I think the reality is if he gets into a stone off, he's going to be in 3rd place. And even that's going to be, a huge achievement. We're talking about the events that you can do well at, but you've got to remember at World's Strongest Man, you're going to have 15 guys that are absolutely incredible, which means you're generally going to have 3 absolute beasts in every single group. And then the guys below that are all very competitive and capable of, of doing great things. So it's going to be interesting to see the group that you put in. As a newbie at World's Strongest Man, you're not going to be considered as a threat. And, we saw what happened with Mitch last year where that group became insane.
Yeah, because no one expected him to be that good. Yeah. And that's rare.
And that is a freak kind of thing to see. But for most people going to their first World's Strongest Man, it is about experience. It's about doing the best that you can. And, the guys that tend to have made the final first time at Worlds, other than Mitch, have had quite a bit of experience at other international shows. You know, we'd seen Novikov win competitions before he went to Worlds. You know, we'd seen Kiliashkovsky win competitions, and other guys as well. Fadi is new. It's all about experience in my book. I want him to kind of take that pressure of himself, go there, give 100%. If he can get 5th, 4th, maybe a 3rd in the group, then he's done exceptionally well. Right, guys, if we have any Lebanese strongman fans out there, make yourselves known in the comments below. This is the first ever athlete to represent Lebanon at the World's Strongest Man. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. Stay strong.